morning, family. Good morning. The title of my charge that I've been given was Fruitfulness from Hard Labor. So meet me in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And as we turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, Trinidad is a very religious place. When I came here, I've seen so many different religions and so many different just faiths, and it was just very shocking to me. I had never seen so many different things in just one place, But God is moving in this country, And in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 5 through 9, it says, "What after all is Apollos? And what is Paul? Only servants through whom you came to believe. As the Lord has assigned to each his task, I've planted the seed. Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God, who makes things grow. The one who plants and the one who waters have one purpose, and they will each be rewarded according to their own labor. For we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, God's building." And the reason I said it's very religious is because prior to me I'm only 23 years of age. You guys have met other people, and you guys have heard about God, and other people has planted that seed in your heart. But I'm only a person that's watering it. Mike has met people who've taught him about God. Cher has met people, but we're just people who water the seed. But at the end of the day, it's not us at all. It's God who makes it grow. It's God who builds a relationship with us. And it's crazy because it talks about Apollos here, and Apollos was a fired-up disciple. Even before he became a true disciple, it said that he was preaching the word and spreading the good news. And then he met two disciples, Priscilla and Aquila, and they sat down and studied the Bible with him, and he became a true disciple. It's so awesome because he was mentioned next to Apostle Paul, someone who was one of the 12. And yet this guy from just nowhere became like on the same level as Apollos. It said, who is Apollos? Who is Paul? Right. And it's crazy because if Apollos, just a regular disciple, was able to be on that level, who are you guys? Yeah. Right? We are just disciples, but at the same time, we can change the world. Right? But it starts with sharing our faith like Apollos. It said Apollos was seen at the synagogues, at the temple, sharing his faith, spreading the good news. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, down in verse 12, it says, "If anyone builds on this foundation using gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, or straw, their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work." Thank God for Jesus Christ being that foundation. If you want to know what a daily life of Jesus was, just read the 4 Gospels. Or just wait a little bit, because Mike Finney is going to go ahead and preach on what it means to be fruitfulness through Jesus, Speaking of using costly materials, I heard a sister share for welcome during the conference that actually Carver and Eileen is attending right now. And she said that a silversmith, when a silversmith is making metal, what the silversmith does is he heats it up. And he heats it up so hot to where the impurities start to rise up to the top. And then the person removes the impurities, and he will know when it's done when he can see his reflection in the silver. God is heating us up. He's allowing us to go through trials and tribulations to remove the impurities until he can see his reflection in us. That's so awesome. So we have to go through the heat, and we have to go through the fire. We have to go through the times where we're sharing our faith and it get hard. We have to go through the times where we're sharing our faith and somebody just kind of brushes us off, right? And it kind of feels weird and awkward, but we have to just go with a smile. We have to say, you know what? This is for them. This is for their soul, and we have to push through that because it's for their soul and it's for eternity. As you turn to Matthew, if you don't mind, turn to Matthew chapter 27, and we're going to read down in verse 50 through 53. And forgive me if I'm going too fast. I know we only have 10 minutes, so I'm doing the best I could. And then as you turn there, the U.S. is exactly in the same position Rome was during the time of the Messiah. Like, as I think about, I was reading this scripture the other day, and I was like, wow, you know, during the Roman Empire, they were made of, if you have ever done the kingdom study, they're made of clay and iron. What is that? Well, the Romans were the iron, and then they conquered other nations and made them pay taxes, and they were the clay. So it was iron mixed with clay. And if you think about the U.S., isn't that the same thing? You have the Americans, the original Americans, and then if you really look at the U.S., it's full of clay. It's full of other different nations, different people, Spanish, European, or Caribbean, or all of these different nations, right? And just the same as Rome was filled with sin, the U.S. is filled with sin, you know? And the reason I say that is because as we read in chapter 27, verse 50, it says, "And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from the top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks split and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people." So this is a time where Jesus had died on the cross, right? And it said that people were raised to life. And as I think about that, I said, wow, are you people who truly died? Just like these people. Am I someone who truly died? Because it said the moment that they raised to life, they went into the holy city. I can imagine that the first thing they did was share their faith. The first thing they did is said, wow, I died, but look at me now. I'm alive forever and ever. It's so awesome to be amongst God's people. It's so awesome because we know that sharing our faith is so important. They literally had died for the faith, and they rose back to life. I bet all they can do was talk about the good news. All they can do was talk about how good God was to them, right? Imagine having that testimony. Nobody here has that testimony. Hey, I died last week, but here I am today. Nobody has that testimony. But it says here, the moment Jesus died, some of God's people was risen back to life. That's so amazing. And as we end off in Psalm 128, verse 1 through 2, I'll give you a second to get there. It reads, "Blessed are all who fear the Lord, who walk in obedience to him. You will eat the fruit of your labor. Blessings and prosperity will be yours." So blessed are those who fear the Lord. And we know blessed means superlative happy, right? Who walk in obedience to him, you will eat the fruit of your labor. And when we're talking about fruitfulness of hard labor, isn't it awesome to after you're making a long meal, you have to get the ingredients, you have to do the preparations, but the best part of the meal is when you get to sit down and you get to eat it. That's the best part. I know that's the best part for me. So in the same way, when we share our faith, it amounts to something, right? Imagine being on your deathbed, right? You're not going to be like, oh, well, I wish I could have made more money. Oh, well, in this lifetime, I wish I would have had more accomplishments. Or I wish I could have done more, got more degrees. On their deathbed, you're going to be like, wow, I wish I would have spent more time with people. I wish I would have made and shared my faith with more people. Because being filled with a room on your deathbed with people that you've changed their life for eternity will be the most important thing. Imagine being on your deathbed and you just look around and you see Mike Wong, who you shared your faith with. You see Shirley, who you shared your faith with. You see Janelle, who you shared your faith with. And all of their lives are not just changed from their physical life, but for eternity. That's the best thing ever. And with that, God be all the glory.